Howdy folks, I'm Brian, and here's some Reddit. Alright, our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Lying to My Therapist? Sorry, but English is not my first language. I'm a 45-year-old male, and I have been on therapy for a long time. Luckily, I'm not affected by depression or something similar, but I have tried therapy many years ago, and I think it really makes me happy, and I can afford it, so why not? Last year, my therapist retired and I had to find a new one. My wife, who's a 45-year-old female, suggested that I go see her friend, who is also a therapist, because it would be a good match. So, she has been my therapist ever since then. However, some months ago, I started noticing that my wife knew things that I never told anyone other than my therapist. So I started suspecting that she was getting info from her friend. In order to prove it, I lied to the therapist. In particular, I told her that I was betraying my wife and that I was going on to see my mistress on a certain day at a certain place. As you may deduce from the title, my wife was there and I called her out. She confessed that she had asked her friend to share the content of our meetings to check me out and make sure I was fine. I was furious. I reported the therapist with the help of my lawyer and I asked for a divorce. My therapy meetings were my safe space and she crossed the bar. Everyone I know is calling me a jerk for overreacting, even my parents and brother, even my children. Nobody thinks that what my wife and her friend did was right, but they are saying that messing up this woman's career and ruining my family over it is too much. In my opinion, they did this to themselves. But since nobody is agreeing with me, I'm starting to think that maybe I might be the jerk. All right, OP. I don't think that you're the jerk here. I think that it would be really hard to call you a jerk in this situation. You set a trap and they fell for it. And in this particular case, you had reason to believe that the therapist was abusing their position of power and telling your wife things that she shouldn't have known. Therapy is meant to be a one-on-one thing. The therapists are meant to be completely confidential. And this is a huge, huge breach of trust. And the thing is that if she was willing to do it with her friend, your wife, who's to say that she isn't doing it with other clients? How many clients has she been spying on and telling information to? So I'd like to believe that this is a one-off thing and that maybe you're the only person who's impacted by this, but you might not be, and you might have done other people huge favors by reporting her. So I don't think that you're a jerk here. Do I think you're overreacting for getting a divorce? Probably not. This was a huge breach of your trust that your wife performed. She knew what was going on and she went along with this whole thing. In fact, she probably talked to your therapist and got her in on it. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just going to say that no, you're not the jerk. And I think that while it's a tough situation, I think that everyone's saying that you overreacted, not seeing the whole picture here. Not the jerk in the least. Your therapist violated one of the most basic trusts of her profession. For violating your privacy, she absolutely deserved to have her career ended. Well done for lodging a complaint against her. As for your scheming wife, I'm sure you can find someone who's far more honest and trusting. Again, as I said, this is a huge breach of trust. She clearly doesn't respect you. She clearly doesn't trust you. She feels like she has to spy on you. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for making a crude joke after a vegan friend on Facebook wouldn't stop arguing with me? For context, I recently learned how to spin yarn using a spinning wheel. Because I always go the extra mile with new hobbies, I decided that I wanted to start processing my own wool before I spun it. This involves washing it and then combing the wool into a long strand that can be used for spinning. And so far, I'm loving it. I have only purchased wool from small farms, like small enough that I buy it from Facebook groups, and they send me regular pictures and updates of the sheep whose wool that I'm purchasing. I know all of the name of the sheep, and I know for a fact that none of them have been harmed in the shearing process beyond a potential nick or two with the clippers. Recently, I posted a picture on Facebook of the wool and how I combed it, and this person, who I'm at most acquaintances with, decided to comment that using wool was an abomination because sheep are hurt and killed during the shearing process. As I said above, I know that these farmers care for their sheep, and that's why I buy from them. And even if I did purchase wool from a bigger farm, most sheep breeds actually need to be sheared on a regular basis because they cannot support the weight of the extra wool. I responded to their comment with this, and after some back and forth involving more links to PETA than I care to read, they would just not give up and I was done arguing. Here's where I might be the jerk. I decided to reply, "You're right, I drove into the farm myself and personally killed these sheep just so I could literally use a pound of their wool. Because as a non-vegan, I couldn't possibly care about animals the same way you do." This was obviously a joke, and I do agree that it was in poor taste and I could have just stopped responding, but I was so tired of arguing about something that just is factually incorrect. They flipped out and called me a jerk, among other things. And after that, I just stopped responding and ignored it. I don't necessarily regret what I said, but I understand it may have gone a bit too far in this situation. Am I the jerk? Probably not. Maybe it might have been a little overboard to say. But it was clear that you were joking about this, that you weren't really going down to the farm and, doing this to the animals. And this is, in some ways, what it sounds like the person was trying to frame it as. That they were saying that you were complicit in the slaughtering of animals because of your hobby. And I think this is really frustrating for you because that is what they were implying. They were essentially saying that you were complicit in killing these animals and that you are complicit with animal cruelty and animal harm, when this sounds like very much the opposite situation. It sounds like you care a great deal about these animals and you want them to be well taken care of and you want to make sure that they have good lives. And I think that's really great. I think we've all had our arguments on Facebook, and I think in hindsight we all regret them. So I would give you advice that I would have to follow myself here and just ignore them. But it's really hard sometimes just to ignore people on Facebook. And sometimes what people say really gets under your skin. And I think we could all use a little more just ignoring the people who we disagree with on Facebook. And in this particular situation, I think you were just trying to be honest with this person, that you were trying to convince them that you weren't hurting these animals and that these animals weren't, in a compromised situation. And it's really frustrating when you don't feel like you're being listened to. And I think that's where this crossed into, is that this person wasn't listening to you. And no matter what evidence you presented to them, they just continued to ignore you and push their own agenda, essentially, ignoring the facts. So no, I don't think that you're a jerk. All right, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for faking my tenants' rent payments?" Hey, I own 2 modest houses, one of which I live in. The one that I rent out is to a woman who we'll call Laura. Laura lost her job due to the virus and has been struggling to make ends meet. Fortunately, I have enough saved away where temporarily losing rent will not hurt me. I feel bad for Laura as her situation is not her fault, but I do not want her to get any ideas about taking advantage of me in the future. So the first month she called to say that she did not have rent. I asked her what she was talking about because I had already received the rent payment. Laura now thinks that she has some sort of anonymous benefactor looking out for her, as I have been continuing to send her fake receipts for the rent. My friend Anna, who knows Laura well, says I'm being a bit of a jerk here, and just to tell her, since Laura is looking for her benefactor on social media and feels uncomfortable about being given a gift by a stranger. I countered that it's hard to feel bad about giving someone a free place to live. Laura's also worried that the stranger might be some sort of stalker who's obsessed with her. Am I the jerk for making Laura believe that an anonymous stranger is paying her rent, even though she's uncomfortable with the situation because I don't want my kindness confused with weakness? So first off, I'm going to say that you have the noblest of intentions here. And this is actually really kind of you. I think this is really great of you to be doing this. So 99% not the jerk, 1% the jerk. And I think that you're having a hard time seeing this from Laura's perspective. You don't know what Laura has in her background. You don't know if she has any exes who are, who have stalked her. You don't know what's going on with her past relationships. She could very well have reasons to believe that she needs to be concerned about this person who's paying her rent. I think it would make her feel a whole lot better and a lot more comfortable to know that it was you. And second, I think you're also setting yourself up for failure here. What happens when Laura gets a job and decides that, oh, well, my anonymous benefactor has been paying my rent for however many months. Why should I continue to pay rent? Or what do I need to worry about paying rent? I have this anonymous benefactor. You are unintentionally setting up a huge booby trap for yourself. So again, I think that this is a really nice thing for you to be doing. I really think that you are going an extra mile here, and it's really kind of you. And it's really good to know that there are people looking out for other people. But again, I think that you do need to come clean here, and I think you need to tell her, and I think she's going to be understanding. And you can just say that you were really looking to help her out, and you just didn't want her to feel uncomfortable with the situation, but it ended up making her feel more uncomfortable. So you don't have to admit to her that you were doing it just because you don't want her to take advantage of your kindness. And you can just tell her straight the truth that you think that because this wasn't her fault, that you were wanting to do something nice for her. But yeah, again, I think that you're really risking setting yourself up for failure here if you don't come clean. And I think you're also setting her up for living in the shadow of this fear, especially if she has someone in her background to be worried about. So I would really come clean. Oh, and one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Also consider this point of view from Laura. She apparently has this person who's keeping close enough tabs on her that they know, one, that she's lost her job, and two, doesn't have enough money to pay her rent. Think about that from your perspective. Would you want someone to have that much intimate knowledge of you that they not only knew that you lost your job, but also that they know who your landlord is, where you live, what your financial situation is? Like, there's a lot of red flags in this situation that I could see being a really big concern to someone like Laura. Gentle, you're the jerk. While I understand that you're doing a kindness and your heart is in the right place, if I was Laura, I'd be worried that I had a stalker. The thought that some unknown person not only knew where I live, but knew who my landlord was would freak me out. All right, folks. Our last letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Getting Someone's Number from My Friend Under False Pretenses? In the past, my friend's friend gave me a ride to the airport in place of my friend because she had to go somewhere that day, and she had planned on taking me. I had a good conversation with her friend, and he seemed attracted to me because he gave me his hand when he helped me over some muddy area. However, at the time, I didn't ask for his number because I was in a rush to the airport. Lately, I had a dream about him, and I knew I had to contact him, but I was afraid that my friend, who is slow at getting back to me, would forget to ask him if it was okay. So I told her that I already had his number, but I lost it. She gave it to me immediately. Edit, some are assuming that my texts were creepy, so I'll just show what I posted. Hi, it's my name. You took me to the airport. I thought it would be nice to get in contact with you, but I was focused on getting to the flight because my nan was ill. I have been wanting to ask my friend for your number, but I wasn't sure. But last night, I dreamed about you, and I knew it was a sign. I hope you're happy that I've written you, but if not, please don't tell my friend. I think you're special. I felt it from when you gave me your hand and when we first saw each other. You are different and appreciate the little things in life. I've texted this guy multiple times about how I dreamed about him and how I know he's special, but I'm afraid he might get creeped out and complain to my friend. Am I a jerk? Breaking news. He just texted me back. He apologized for not responding immediately. He clearly is interested. My plan is to keep talking to him and eventually suggest that I move back to the city. All right, OP. I'm going to have to say that you're the jerk here. And I'm going to have to say that you crossed some boundaries here, and I think that lying to your friend was inappropriate and a breach of your friend's trust. And then also trying to cover for yourself when you texted this person to make sure that they didn't text your friend so that they wouldn't know that you lied. That also is really shady behavior. There's a lot of stuff here that I think has a few red flags here and there. I first want to say that I am rooting for anyone and everyone in relationships. I think that relationships are a really important part of life. And I think that if you feel like you found that very special person, then you should also take the time to contact them through the right channels. Like, I understand that you're impatient and you really want to meet this person, but why did it have to happen immediately? I am really reluctant because I think that with the breaking news and him getting back to you, it shows that he was not, creeped out by this, and that this was within his area of comfort. But I also think that this was a bit of a boundary crossing, and I think that you need to learn to, respect boundaries. Sometimes I think when we're impassioned, we act in irrational ways, and that can be understandable, but it isn't necessarily an excuse. I think that you're really excited about this prospect of this relationship, but I also think it's unhealthy to start talking about moving to a whole new city, a whole new place, just for this guy. I think that you need to take your time and take it easier than what you are. This is a lot to be planning for and hinging on with a relationship that works. I mean, you don't really know much about this person other than the short car ride that you had with them. And again, I'm glad that he's responded positively to this. I appreciate your energy, but I definitely don't appreciate some of your tactics here. As for the candor in your letter, I think it was fine to have candor. And I think it's fine to tell the person that you think they're special, and I think it's fine to tell them even that you dreamed about them and that you really want to be with them. I think those are good conversations to talk about and to discuss with this person. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and that you shouldn't put all your eggs into one basket. So again, I am glad he seems to be matching your energy here. I think you need to get a hold of boundaries a little bit better and work towards not violating boundaries and not violating people's trusts. Again, all it would have taken was a few text messages to your friend to accomplish the same goal. And now you have to live with this whole worry about them calling you out to your friend and then, damaging your friend's trust. So deep down what you did here was wrong. Anyhow, good luck. I actually hope that this relationship works. I hope that you take it a little slower and a little, with a little more caution. But I root for people to be happy, and I root for good relationships. So again, I'm rooting for you, but I'm also rooting for you to be a better person. Take care, and good luck. You're the jerk. Wow, obviously you're the jerk. You lied to get a person's phone number without that person's permission. You violated your friend's trust by lying to them, possibly causing irreparable harm to your friendship. You violated the trust of a guy whose number you got by contacting him this way. And the messages you sent were, and I cannot stress this enough, super creepy. Edit, I just want to be really clear here, now that you've added the edit to include the actual message. You are being creepy. Not just the message, but you've stated that you apparently intend to keep messaging him. This is the sort of stuff that when men do it to women, it makes us deeply uncomfortable and wonder how much it will take to get a restraining order to keep the crazy guys who don't understand boundaries away from us so we can be safe. That's you, the kind of person who inspires others to fear for their personal safety due to boundary crossings and creepy messages. Congrats. All right, folks. That's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you didn't, consider giving me a thumbs down. If you made it all the way to the end of the video here and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. I release a new video every single day, and you'll get to see that every single day. So what could be better? Anyhow, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.